slide can apply to?
Yeah, we can see your slide and also we can hear your sound. Yeah, so you can start.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prof. Firman. Thank you for the opportunity. Today, I want to presentation about my paper review with the title is Potency of Microalgae for Animal Feed and Aquaculture Feed by me, Inga Jadatri from Diponegoro University. This is my introduction. Currently, one of the problems in the world of health is the lack of protein source, which eventually causes malnutrition in humans. 149 million children under 5 years were estimated to be stunting. 45 million were estimated to be wasted or underweight, and 8.9 million were overweight or obese. To reduce malnutrition is necessary to short nutrients such as animal protein from livestock products and aquatic organisms such as meat, fish, and eggs. This problem causes an increase in the demand for animal products. Currently, protein from animal demand for the 7.3 billion inhabitants of the world is approximately 202 million tons. The increase in animal products has an impact on the demand for animal feed from 8 to 48 million tons. This also has an impact on the increase in conventional raw materials to be used as animal feed. Currently, conventional feed is considered less profitable because it requires a lot of raw materials, high production cost, but the selling price of feed product is small. So, a more economical alternative is needed. The use of microalgae as non-conventional raw materials is a solution to produce quality and high-value feed ingredients. Microalgae have a high protein food for human consumption. Microalgae can increase the nutritional content of conventional food and have a positive effect on human health. Microalgae can utilize carbon dioxide and light in the photosynthesis process to produce high-quality biomass as an antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and so on. In table 1, show that the protein content in microalgae is the highest compared to the other protein food products. So, this microalgae has the potential to be utilized in various industrial sectors, such as bioethanol, biodiesel, medicine, cosmetics, vitamins, food supplements, and can use as animal feed or aquaculture feed. High biomolecular value in microalgae besides protein, including carbohydrates, polyunsaturated fatty acids, carotenoids, triglycerides, minerals, vitamin, and so on. So the high content of microalgae is the main reason to be used as additional nutrient for animal feed because it is more efficient and environmentally friendly. Based on table 2, there are several composition parameters in the manufacture of animal feed, such as the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and lipids in animal feed. For example, in poultry feed requires a protein composition about 21%, then 60% for carbohydrates, and 5% for lipids. It means that the composition parameters are able to meet the nutritional needs of poultry, like this with other feeds. And in table 3, show the nutritional content of conventional feeds such as animal flour, corn, coconut cake, soybean meal, bean meal, and rice bran. But conventional feed is considered less profitable because it uses a lot of raw material to meet the nutritional content according to animal feed standard in table 2. So in table 4 show the microalgae composition. If looking at the composition of microalgae can become as additional nutrients, especially protein. Microalgae safe for consumption and able to improve livestock quality. Several species of microalgae for animal feed such as spirulina, chlorella, dinolila, and so on. This is a broad flow chart of animal feed or aquaculture feed production, beginning with the process of harvesting microalgae using plankton net. Then the microalgae biomass mixed with conventional feed such as animal flour, corn, and so on, with different concentration of microalgae biomass. Then the tapioca glue is added as an additive at the time of printing. Then the feed dough the ground and printed into wet feed. Then feed are dried in the oven. Animal feed from a mixture of microalgae can analyze to ensure the quality of the feed, such as chemical analysis in the form of proximate content, biological examination, and organoleptic tests, such as color, odor, presence, or absence of contaminants. Then, after being assessed as sufficient to meet the feed requirements, the feed are packed in airtight packaging and ready for use. Mixture of microalgae in animal feed is proven to have a positive effect on livestock in terms of growth and quality of livestock products. As shown in the picture, for example, in animals such as cattle, goat, lamb, and poultry, nutrient from feed microalgae can increase body weight, milk quality, and omega-3 content in meat and dairy products. Similar to aquaculture, such as fish and shrimp, there is an increase in the content of polyunsaturated fatty acids or fish oil and can increase carotenoids. The positive effect of microalgae in animal feed from several reference in table 4, like Ginsberg research, the adding 5 until 10% by weight of dry biomass from microalgae porphyridium in poultry feed. Then the result, microalgae can reduce cholesterol up to 28%, can increase linoleic acid and arachidonic acid levels by 29% and 24% respectively, can increase the color of the egg yolk whatsoever as a result of the higher carotenoid level for chicken that feed with 5% supplement. Then can increase maintenance animal performance. Similar to Rouhani research, adding spirulina with a concentration 2, 4, 6, and 8% of dry weight into fish feed. The result is the addition of 8% concentration can increase fish body weight, growth rate, protein efficiency, APA, and lipid efficiency in fish. Some of these references show that the addition of microalgae biomass concentration in animal feed can increase the growth of quality of livestock and aquaculture products.
The time is 1 minute again.
Currently, microalgae-based animal feed supplement as natural antioxidant are growing rapidly in the global market. In 2017, The market value of animal reached about 10.97 billion US dollar and is expected to increase to 14.15 billion US dollar by 2023. The large role of microalgae as animal feed supplement has made several companies in the world produce large amount of animal feed as shown in table 5. This is the last conclusion. Several species of microalgae have been used as animal feed natural resource due to the variety of nutrients, bioactive compounds, and as a way to mitigate the environmental and economic challenge of the livestock agriculture sector, resulting in meat with superior quality. And the quality of livestock is influenced by the quality of animal feed. The quality of animal feed is influenced by microalgae cultivation condition, concentration of microalgae added to feed, then duration of feed. Highly nutritious animal feed will produce quality, high value, and livestock product. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Inggardian Ratri. Yeah. So now we open for discussion. So everyone, yeah, you can ask a question. Everybody, anyone?
I have
Okay.
a question, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I am Febio Dalanta. Thank you for Miss Inggar for such a nice presentation. I have a question, some question actually. First is how is the animal feed production process that you have explained from some of the reference that you reviewed? Then what is the technique for analyzing the availability of livestock after being given the feed from microalgae? And the second one is there any other unconventional material beside microalgae for animal feed? Okay, I think that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Inggar, you can answer directly.
Yes, Prof. Thank you for Mr. Febio. I will try answer your question. Question 1 about the process animal feed production, right? The process of animal feed production with microalgae, beginning from harvesting microalgae to get biomass, then mixing this into conventional feed, then mix and print according to the type of livestock. Feed animal feed can be printed in the form of pellets, capsule, or tablets to facilitate the packaging process. Analysis of animal feed quality using chemical analysis about proximate content, biological examination, and organoleptic tests such as odor, color, presence or absence from contaminant, and analysis of livestock such as measure of body weight from animal, measure change in protein, lipid, carbohydrate content, and measure color and moisture content in meat or eggs from animal. In second question,
Okay, is enough, Inggar, Mr. Inggar? Miss Ingar, okay, thank you very much. I think because the time, so I think Mr. Fabio, if you still not enough for the answer, I think you can discuss in another time. Yeah, okay. We can give approach for the Miss Ingar Dianrati. Okay, now we go to next presentation is for prepare 2105, ya. Oke, Mr. Tia Agung Pambudi ya, with the title review of the effect of starter composition. Ya, you can start, Mas Tio. Oke.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Today, I will presentation about review the effect of starter composition variation on biogas quality. Next, introduction. Along with the world energy crisis, many studies have been conducted to find new and modified alternative energy or renewable source. One of the current renewable energy is biogas. Biogas is a gas produced through an anaerobic fermentation process or anaerobic digestion. Biogas raw material is a mixture of organic material which will produce gas. Raw material can be in the form of agricultural waste mixed with livestock waste. Next, the following are the factors that affect the formation of biogas. Number first, conversion of CN stopping material, retention, secondly, retention time, third, temperature, dry matter content, and pH acidity. Next, this research review was conducted to determine variation in the composition of the starter or mixing of stuffing material to get the best biogas quality. The tool used is a digester reactor made of 19 liter gallon. The ingredient consists of two variation of starter composition, namely variation 1, consisting of liquid waste of tofu, cow dung, chicken manure, and banana peel, and while variation 2 consists of liquid waste and palm sugar and cow dung. Next, effect of pH digester. The composition of the ingredient in variation 1, the initial pH of digester A, B, C has an acidity pH ranging from 6 to 6.8, while digester D, E has a normal pH due to the greater amount of cow dung. The optimum pH occurs at the 10 day of fermentation, which is 6.8 until 8.5. Well, the composition of the content of the digester material in variation 2, the starter pH value were 6.6 and 7 respectively, and added tofu liquid waste to 5.5 and 7 the pH value acidity because there was quite a lot of vinegar in the tofu waste. Next, temperature digester variation 1. So the digester A with a composition containing more cow dung has the highest temperature variation from 29 degrees Celsius until 31 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, digester A with a composition containing more palm liquid waste has the lowest temperature variation, namely 27 degrees Celsius until 29 degrees Celsius. Next, temperature digester variation 2. Based on the picture, the digester temperature at each fermentation time range from 2028 to 33 degrees Celsius. Next, C per N ratio variation 1. The lowest C per N ratio value is in degrees digester, and the highest C per N ratio value is in digester A. The low C per N ratio value is caused by the amount of palm liquid waste that is too much compared to the amount of cow dung added. C per N ratio variation 2, the CN ratio of the 3 sample was quite small, so the time required from fermentation reached 20 days. Next, volume biogas variation 1. Volume of biogas production in digester A has a very large amount, reaching 6.8 liters compared to other digester which do not reach 1 liter at its optimum point. And the volume biogas variation 2 on day 3 to day 21, it showed that the volume of biogas continue to increase in starter D1, D2, and D3. Next.
Okay, 1 minute again, ya.
Okay. Metan gas content variation 1. Metan gas content in digester A is least 3.4%, and metan gas content variation 2 the result show that the metan gas content from all starter in 20 days above 50%. Conclusion. Next, conclusion, digester material composition affect biogas quality in terms of metan gas content and biogas volume. The ratio of the filling material is adjusted to the CN ratio of each component with the highest ratio production high level of metan gas. Digester temperature condition range from 27 until 31 degrees Celsius, and the optimum pH range from 6.8 until 8.5. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tio Agung Pambudi. I think the presentation is very interesting, very nice. Yeah, so everyone want to ask the question? Okay, if no, the question is from me. Yeah, Mr. Tio, what
Yes.
actually the quality parameter of biogas? The quality of parameter of biogas. I mean, if we say, okay, this biogas is very good and the other is not good, can you, explain a little bit?
Parameter
Quality of the
parameter
biogas.
quality.
Yeah. Is, I mean,
Parameter quality, the content of methane, Prof.
content of methane. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Tio. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. We can give applause for Mr. Tio. And then now we go to the third presenter, Miss Aulia Rahmawati, ya, with the title A Close Look at the Nutritious Spirulina. So Miss Aulia, you can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Aulia Rahmawati Utomo. I'm from PT Algae Park Indonesia Mandiri. In this time, I would like to present our paper. The title is A Close Look at the Benefit and Feasibility Aspect of Nutritious Spirulina as Functional Aquafit Ingredient in Indonesia. In this project, I have the supervisor. There are Mr. Rangga Warista Aji and Mr. Muhammad Islam. Okay, the first is introduction. The aquaculture sector will necessarily go now becoming the major fish consumption compared to the capture fishery sector. In Indonesia, the growth rate of the aquaculture sector has been relatively higher at around 7.7% per year since 1960, with the definite commodities such as tilapia, catfish, milkfish, gurame, white leg shrimp, and tiger prawn. In parallel with elevating demand of aquaculture products to meet food necessity, the aquafeed supply will continuously grow to support the expanding aquaculture industry. Fish meal is one of the high nutritional ingredients of formulated aquafeed in most of the aquaculture practice. It has a highly value nutrition, which rich in protein, amino acids, and phospholipid, and also omega-3 fatty acids. However, some issues have been raised corresponding to the availability of feed raw materials and sustainability of marine environment. Along with increasing global fish meal demand, this material supply will fluctuate, and the price is surely getting expensive. Besides that, the overexploitation of wild-caught pelagic fishes to produce a large quantity of fish meal and fish oil to that put negative impact on aquatic food chains and world fish stock. And then the unsustainable practice of fish meal involved in the diet is trying to be reduced gradually by substitution of animal byproducts. However, have nutritional variability, not only lower protein content, but also higher S content. Vegetable protein has also been traditionally applied to reduce the use of fish meal in aquafeeds. Various plant-based on protein foods such as soybean, palm kernel, copra, rice, corn, and cassava are considered more sustainable. However, the plant material involved in these feed diets has significant limitation as it contains anti-nutritive factors such as sapodin, tannins, and soluble non-starch polysaccharide. In addition, the blue-green algae known as spirulina was extensively evaluated for alternative animal feeds due to its higher nutritional properties. Spirulina has high nutritional value and is needed by aquatic ecosystem. There are vitamin complex, protein, fat and fiber content, essential fatty acid, and complete amino acid. It also contains the pigment chlorophyll A, xanthophyll, beta-carotene, echinonone, picoxanthophyll, zeaxanthin, xanthacanthin, diatoxanthin, and picocyanin. According to several research, these nutrients have benefit for defense activity to in against infectious disease, reduce inflammation by the mucosal immune system function, aid in the development of morphology, then reduce the toxicity of heavy metals, boost immunity to poisoning, and protect against radiation. Disease grow performance of various species fat diets containing low level of spirulina meals. There are several data at a concentration of 0.6%. Spirulina increased the survival rate of catfish, and at a concentration of 1%, it increased immunity and phagocytic activity. And then supplementation with spirulina platensis at concentration of 6 grams per kilo feed resulted the best growth, body composition, hematological, and biochemical blood parameters for glutamine. According to Zainab, 2015, increasing spirulina platensis levels increased blood total protein and globulin level in all groups compared to control, but not albumin level, implying that spirulina platensis can improve immunity and help on immunolyticus. Picobilin, picocyanin, allopicocyanin, and xanthophyll are antioxidant phytopigment found in spirulina. Alga carotenoids act as an antioxidant, defending cellular components and preventing fish from becoming stressed.
Okay, the time is 3 minutes, yeah.
Okay. Viable proportion of spirulina in dietary formulations. In summary, the addition of spirulina powder to fish ingredient provided the necessary nutrition for a variety of consumption fish commodities. It is known that when spirulina is used at a level of 1 to 5% in the composition of this feed material, the nutritional value of spirulina is already balanced or equivalent with that conventional feeds. Nutritional equivalent of it on 1 to 5% spirulina powder, 18 to 40% protein, 6% fat, 5 to 6% fiber, and essential fatty acid, and also amino acid essential. And then feasibility of using spirulina in aquafeed production. Apart from nutritional value, the use of spirulina powder in feed ingredient must take into account the cost of spirulina powder substitution. At the moment, spirulina for feed is priced between 5 and 8 US dollars. On a scale of 1 to 5%, it is still feasible for the fishery sector. However, for higher level, microalgae cultivation must be optimized to achieve a lower price for spirulina powder. spirulina production in open system. Cost of operation, energy consumption, and construction all play a role in determining the price of spirulina powder. Microalgae cultivation in an open pond system is regarded as the optimal method for producing large amount of biomass on a small budget. Among the advantages of an open pond system are following: energy consumption, lower construction, lower operational costs, easy to scale up, cooling through direct contact with atmosphere, good gas interchange. And the conclusion, microalgae are many factories that provide a renewable and long-term supply of fish diets. Its comprehensive nutritional value makes it a viable alternative to fish meal, which is in short supply. To develop the potential of microalgae as its feed alternative, fish farming actors and related stakeholders must have a clear understanding. At the maximum level of 5% of total feed ingredients, the substitution value of fish meal with spirulina powder is still viable and acceptable to business actors and fisheries sector. Okay, I think enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank Miss Aulia Rahmawati. I think the presentation is very nice, yeah, very interesting, yeah. So everyone, everybody, any question? Okay, for Aulia, I mean, you the nutritional spirulina as a function feed, yeah. How the potential of spirulina if as functional food, not feed? Can you give your little bit explanation? How the potential spirulina as a functional food? I mean, I think now the human also, or the man is also can, I mean, eat spirulina as functional food.
Spirulina is also can be consumed by human, as such as supplement, health supplement, and then boost immune and it can be consumed every day.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Miss Aulia Rahmawati. I hope you will be always in success here with your research about spirulina, because spirulina now is very nice and very important source as a functional food here. Okay, thank you. We can give applause for the Miss Aulia. Now we go to next presentation with the title Review of Potential Biomass Waste. Yeah. Okay, you can start. Miss Wahyu, ya. Okay, Miss Wahyu. Okay.
Okay. Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I want to say thank you to moderator, Prof. Hirman, and all participants. It is great to see you all, and good afternoon, Prof. Hirman. Okay, my name is Wahyuduli Pratiwi, and in this presentation, we will discuss the paper review about biobriquette, and the title of this paper is Potential of Biomass Waste in the briquette product in various types of binder as an alternative to renewable energy. Okay, and then for the table of content, the introduction, briquette from biomass waste, technological method for producing briquette, and then binder for briquette production, and the last conclusion. So first, introduction. In Indonesia, renewable energy is widely developed and become necessary. This is because renewable energy from material source are available in abundance. Biomass is organic material that can be used as fuel because the energy reserves are abundant to guarantee their availability. So renewable energy sources are produced from biomass such as food waste, plantation, or forestry. Most of biomass have not been utilized optimally, even though the opportunity to increase the exploitation of biomass waste to become renewable energy is relatively high. And for example, waste generated from the forestry and agricultural sector. Waste originating from the forest is still used in small way, built up and burned. It causes environmental pollution, so that technology for processing forest waste or agricultural waste is need to be processed and made into products that have more value. One of products from the utilization of biomass waste that can be developed is by making into biobriquette. And biobriquette is made from biomass. Is an alternative fuel that offers practical, easy, cheap, and environment friendly. So biobriquette offer a viable solution as a renewable energy to meet the growing demand for energy in both rural and remote area. Various advantages.
Okay, I think there is problem with internet connection with Miss Wahyu Jili Pratiwi. We can wait for 1 or 2 minutes Okay, because this internet connection with Miss Wahyu Juli Pratiwi, now we continue with the next presenter with the title Effect of Nutrition and Initial pH. Okay, who the presenter? Okay, Mr. Wahyudi. Yeah, okay, Mr. Wahyudi, you can start.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon all. Thank you for presenter. I will present research on.
Prof. Firman, mohon maaf, tadi ada kendala terputus.
Miss Wahyu, I think for your president is enough, no problem I think you can join this meeting. In the end of after presentation of Mr. Wahyu, if anybody have question, can ask the question, because now we start with the Mr. Wahyudi presenter. Yeah, you can wait for the discussion. Okay, Mr. Wahyudi, you can continue the presentation.
Okay. Good afternoon all. I will present research on effect of nutrition and initial pH on the growth of spirulina sp with direct injection method. The emission of carbon dioxide, mainly derived from vegetables and industrial activity, as a major greenhouse gas in the atmosphere has greatly increased. Greenhouse gases can cause global warming, include carbon dioxide and ethana NO2, GF, HFC, NSF6. This gas will accumulate in atmosphere and block the process of the heat release caused by solar radiation. Spirulina sp has the ability to carry out photosynthesis. This is due to the photosynthetic pigment in microalgae. According to Zhou et al., Spirulina sp has chlorophyll pigment, carotenoid, and picoxanthin that can help in photosynthesis process. This capability can certainly used to reduce carbon dioxide emission. Based on the identification of the problem, it is necessary to conduct research on the effect of various nutrition and initial pH on the growth of Spirulina sp by direct injection of carbon dioxide using a closed pond system on a laboratory scale. By material, there were 9 treatments with nutritional variation, including urea concentration, NaNO3, NaCl concentration, and initial pH. The microalgae cultivation uses a laboratory scale closed-pond system. The ratio of Spirulina sp seeds with planting media is 2:1. All treatments were added with 500 milligram per liter NaHCl3 and give carbon dioxide at a rate of 1 liter per minute during the day by direct injection method. And variation of urea use include 20 milligram per liter, 40 milligram per liter, 16 milligram per liter, and 18 milligram per liter. Variation of NaNO3 were 14 milligram per liter, NaCl 1 gram per liter, and NaCl 2 gram per liter, as well as variation in initial pH of 10. And the data obtained is study included optical density, biomass, pH, and conductivity. Carbon dioxide is flowed from the gas cylinder to the reactor bottle acid by an aerator as a booster. The schematic of the equipment of laboratory scale direct injection method can we see in the picture figure 1. And then optical density of Spirulina sp with variation in nutrition and pH, biomass of Spirulina sp with a variety of nutrition and initial pH of 10. Spirulina sp media conductivity with variation is nutrient and initial pH 10. The pH of Spirulina sp media with variety of nutrient and initial pH of 10. Optical density of Spirulina sp. Based on figure 2, it was shown that the result of optical density measurement in the 16 milligram per liter urea addition variable had increased, while for other variation was fluctuating top in the 9 day. Optical density indicated the presence of cell and then biomass of Spirulina sp with a variety of nutrient and initial pH of that. By figure 2, shown that the greater the OD, the greater amount of biomass will be Spirulina biomass. biomass measurement for 9 days of fluctuating result expect for the 16 milligram per liter urea variable where the biomass grade tend to rise. The biomass obtained with urea treatment of 14 milligram per liter reach 0.84 gram on the 7th day, which is the most biomass obtained compared to the other treatment. And next, medium conductivity of spirulina sp with a variety of nutrients and initial pH of 10 by figure 4. We can show that the medium conductivity experience significant fluctuation in the third and fourth treatment with the addition of urea, while the other variation did not show significant fluctuation during the 9 days period. The conductivity of the medium is closely related to the salinity, where high conductivity indicated as high salt content in spirulina sp. Salinity is needed by spirulina sp to survive and reproduce. Fluctuation in salinity which are characterized by fluctuation in the conductivity of the media indicated a change in osmotic pressure that occurs in spirulina sp. The conductivity measurement aims to that the salinity of the media does not experience drastic change. High salinity will also inhibit the photosynthetic process of microalgae. And next, pH of spirulina sp with a variety of nutrients. Based on figure 5, the most drastic decrease in pH was on the third day. The decrease in pH reached 7.2 in the treatment involving the addition of 16 milligram per liter urea, while the highest increase in pH occurred on the first day after planting, which reached 10.11. However, spirulina sp can still survive in this condition. Therefore, it is necessary to adjust the pH every 3 days so that there is no decrease in pH. Spirulina sp can grow in neutral to alkaline media. The optimum pH for spirulina growth is 9 until 11. The decrease in pH occurred due to the accumulation of carbonic acid in the media caused by carbon dioxide that was not used by microalgae. Next, rate of the biofixation. In this study, spirulina was cultivated with carbon dioxide injection for 9 days, flow rate of 1 liter per minute, and concentration of 1.5% volume. Spirulina sp is a microalgae that has a green pigment, chlorophyll, so that it can carry out the process of photosynthesis. In the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide gas is needed as a raw material for the formation of metabolite and biomass. Spirulina algae has a relatively short growth rate so that the demand for carbon dioxide gas is quickly high. The rate of biofixation indicates the ability of microalgae to bind the ionic compound HCO3 and convert it into glucose. Glucose produced in the process of photosynthesis is useful in the growth of microalgae. And the conclusion, based on the result of the study, it can be concluded that the provision of nutritional variation and initial pH of 10 give a fluctuating effect on the conductivity and pH of spirulina sp. The result of the optical density measurement on the addition of 60 milligram per liter urea variable increased and reached 0.9 on the 7th day. This optical density is the highest obtained compared to other treatment. And the highest biomass was obtained by treatment with 14 milligram per liter urea, reaching 0.18 gram on the 7th day. And then spirulina sp can grow at conductivity of 5.3 millisiemens until 21.4 millisiemens, and the most drastic decrease in pH occurred on the 3rd day. And then the decrease in pH reached 7.2 in the addition of 16 milligram per liter urea, while the highest increase in pH occurred on the 1st day after planting, reaching 10.11. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wahyudi. It's very nice presentation. Yeah. So everybody, anyone to ask question, both for Miss Wahyu or Mr. Wahyudi? We can open discussion. Okay.
Prof.
Yeah.
I
Mr.
have question for Mr.
Okay.
Wahyudi, Prof.
Very nice. Yeah, you can directly ask the question.
Okay. Mr. Wahyudi, I have also research on spirulina, but not too deep. So I want some question for the first. What is the function of carbon dioxide gas in direct injections your spirulina? And can it replace with sodium bicarbonate as a medium? Maybe.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Wahyu. I will answer your question. What is a function of carbon dioxide gas in the direct injection spirulina? Function of carbon dioxide gas as a carbon source for the growth of spirulina. Yes, later it can replace sodium bicarbonate as a carbon source, and at the same time can take advantage of industrial carbon dioxide emission in order to reduce carbon emission to the environmental. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wahyudi. I think your answer is very complete, yeah, and very nice. Okay, any question, both for Mr. Wahyudi or Miss Wahyu?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Wahyudi, yeah, you can ask the question.
Okay, thank you. It's a good review, Miss Wahyu. And then something that I want to know after your presentation, how to choose a good binder for your piglet.
Okay, Mr. Wahyu.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Wahyudi, if my
Sorry.
presentation not complete. This question for me, right?
Yeah. Hello.
You can answer directly, Miss Wahyu.
Yeah. Can you repeat your question, Mr. Wahyudi?
Okay. How to choose a good tinder to for biobriquette?
Just good biobriquette, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In order to obtain good quality briquette, it is very important, yeah, to have a deserved grain size distribution with 5 grains among the cores again. So adhesive material has an important role in this matter. It is necessary to choose an adhesive material that can be provide good strength for the result briquette. The type of adhesive material can be in form of organic or inorganic adhesive, and later this type will affect the quality of the strength of the briquette product. Begitu.
Okay, I think it's enough, yeah. Mr. Wahyu, thank you very much. Ms. Wahyu and Mr. Wahyudi, we can give applause for both the presenter, yeah. Now we going to the next presentation, yeah, with the title Evaluation of Particulate Matter, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. I think I have to share the screen, but someone's still sharing his screen.
Okay, Mr. Wahyudi, you have to, okay.
It's okay now, yeah, Prof?
Yeah, good.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fajar Gumbira from Universitas Andalas, and this is my research team, my ex-students, and I'm presenting my research result entitled Evaluation of Particulate Matter 2.5 Carbon Monoxide, Carbon Dioxide Concentrations from the Utilization of Rice Husk Pellets and Briquette Biofuels in a Biomass Stove. So this is the outlines of my presentation. I will start with the background and then followed by material and experimental. And then after that, I will explain about the results and discussion. And then finally, I will deliver the conclusions. So this is the background of my research. As we know now, most people talk about global warming. So this is the data that I got, that the Earth temperature, both in land and ocean, is increasing if we compare to the average temperature between 1850 and 1900, yeah, the year of 1850 and 1900. And then there's also another data shows that there's an increase in CO2 concentrations in the atmosphere. So this is called the greenhouse gas. Because of this global warming, then now there's an issue related to climate change. And another issue with CO2 is that if we expose to CO2 with the levels exceeding 16% for 1 minute, it can cause a coma until death. Yeah, so it is very dangerous gas actually. So why we need to replace the current practice in using fossil fuel? Because in fossil fuel, we actually move the carbon from underground into the atmosphere, and CO2 can absorb heat, so it can trap the heat and increase the temperature, as I explained before. So to cope with the problem, we have to change that will not move carbon from underground to the atmosphere. And one of the alternatives is by using a biomass. If we use biomass, the carbon is all above the ground, yeah, because biomass comes from plantation, and then if we convert it into fuel, it is burned, it emits CO2, and the CO2 will be absorbed back by another plantation. So it is considered as a carbon neutral. And one potential in our country, which is producing and consuming a lot of rice, the total paddy production in Indonesia is around 55 million tons in 2020. And 38% of the total grain is rice husk, or in Bahasa Indonesia, we call it sekam padi. And then the objective of my research was to evaluate the indoor air quality because of the potential hazard related to CO2, PM2.5, and CO. So this is how we prepare our biofuel. For the biochar briquettes, we firstly sun-dried the rice husk for 3 days, and then we put into a pyrolysis reactor with a temperature of 250 centigrade for 30 minutes. And then we sieve to get the same size. And then we mix actually with some of cassava flour with water. And then we mold the mixture so we can create the briquettes. Yeah, this is how we dry it under the sun for up to 7 days. And then for biopellets, we almost do the same thing unless we didn't carbonize the biomass. So we just mash with this mill and then sieve with 60 mesh sieve, and then we mold with a hydraulic press, and then we sun dry it also up to 7 days. And then this is the experimental setup. So we use a biomass stove, and then we use the water boiling test method to boil a certain amount of water, and then we use a low volume air sampler for sampling particulate matter 2.5, which is particulate matter with the size less than 2.5 microns. And then we measure the CO and CO2. And we did this in a closed room actually. We put a plastic to cover, so the air pollution is only in this room. And this is the picture presenting the the experimental setup. So this is the result at the discussion based on approximate analysis of biopellet and biochar briquettes. We can see here that for the briquette, all of the results shows the number above the standards. Yeah, so this one is fulfilling the standard of the quality. But for the biopellet, we can see the ash content is still high, and the calorific value is still quite low under the required standard. And this is the PM 2.5 concentrations. The left part is based on our study, and this one is based on our previous study. So we can see here that all of the biomass that had been converted into biopellet or briquettes can fulfill the requirement from the Minister of Health regulation. But if we didn't treat the biomass, the PM 2.5 concentration was still high. And for CO also the same. And we can see here for the biopellets, the CO concentration was lower than the briquettes. And we can see also the untreated rice husk here, the CO concentration is high. So it is better to convert the biomass into more densified fuels. And CO2 concentration also we can see here, but for CO2 concentration, all of the results based on the previous studies and the current studies also show the value below the required standard. So this for CO2, no problem. And based on the results and discussion, we can conclude that the calorific value, particularly for biopellet, is still below the standard. So we need to improve it by mixing with other materials with higher calorific value. And then based on the measurement for concentration of PM 2.5, CO and CO2, all of them are still in compliance with indoor air quality standard. And then this one shows that the briquettes and biopellets emission for PM 2.5, CO and CO2 are still lower than the untreated biomass. So I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I return to Mr. Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fajar Kumbera. I think it's a very interesting presentation. Yeah, I think we can see the very nice product. Yeah, about the carbon pellet and also briquette. Yeah, the briquette. Okay. Okay. Any question from everyone? Okay, I think from me, Mr. Fajar, I think it's very I mean it's very interesting. Yeah. Can the product can be commercialized?
For biobriquettes, I think
Mhm.
so, Prof, because it already complies with the SNI, yeah, the SNI Standard National Indonesia. But for the pellets, we need improvement.
Okay.
And this study also inform us that the use of briquette is safe, actually, based on the emission of CO2, CO, and PM 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think briquette can also become one good product from Indonesia, can be export. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much again for Mr. Fajar. I
Thank
think
you,
very
Prof.
interesting presentation. Okay, we can give applause for Mr. Fajar. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now we continue with the next presentation with entitled Biogas as an Alternative for Sustainable Development. Okay, who the presenter? Okay, I think the presenter still not come, yeah. Okay, now the presentation from the class is modification of circular briquette with entitled with code 2109.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, Fabio, yeah, you
Yeah.
can start presentation. Okay, before start, I ask everyone to fill the attendance form, yeah, please. Okay, okay, Mr. Fabio, you can continue. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Professor Herman as the moderator and all the virtual audiences that give us this opportunity to be the last presenter in this particular room. All right, here I will present to you our article entitled Modification of Charcoal Briquette Using Binding Agents to Improve the Product Quality Review. That written by Silviana Hadianto, Widayat, Fabio Dalanta, and Afriza Nikmatu Saadah. My name is Fabio Dalanta, a student from Department of Chemical Engineering, Diponegoro University. Okay. As the biggest continent, Asia is a huge producer of agricultural products for centuries, specifically in Indonesia. At harvest moment, there will be a massive amount of biomass waste that can be converted to a renewable energy source. Biomasses are generated from unused agricultural products such as bagasse, rice husk, coconut shells, wood residues, sawdust, and many more. Therefore, these biomass sources become a particular interest to produce the renewable energy in liquid or solid fuels. Charcoal briquette is a great effort to produce clean fuel by converting biomass from agricultural activities to be an alternative energy which can overcome some of current environmental issues. To gain more attraction on market fuel, charcoal briquette needs modification process to improve its properties such as mechanical strength, pollution, heating value, and waterproof ability. The most investigated modification method in briquette preparation was applying binding agents. Briquettes need binding agents to hold the particles and are extremely essential in casting, packing, and distribution of the product. The binding agent in briquette preparation acts as an important role that is responsible for the mechanical strength, heating value, thermal property, pollution, ignition temperature, and cost of production. Based on that brief explanation, there are several targets to be achieved in this article. First, to explain the charcoal briquette, its application and environmental aspect. Second, to review the feedstock sources of recent charcoal briquette fabrication. Third, to review and compare the existing binding mechanisms of charcoal briquettes. And the fourth, to review and compare the reported binding agents on charcoal briquette making. Charcoal briquettes have numerous applications for domestic and industrial purposes due to various advantages compared to coal, such as renewable, less polluting, virtually free of sulfur or phosphorus, having high heat value, readily available, and many more. In addition, charcoal briquette possesses high energy potential, thermal stability, flame temperatures, and lower moisture content, and excellent combustion properties. Table 1 shows the potential application of charcoal briquettes. Table 1 shows that the market for charcoal briquette and their extensive utilization as substitutes to conventional biomass or fuel wood and fossil fuel are large. Therefore, production of charcoal briquette needs to be developed. Numerous studies have been conducted to assess environmental and human health risks arising from charcoal briquettes. Charcoal briquettes have environmental benefits that include reduced tree degradation, better management of waste, and reduced emissions. Compared with coal, charcoal briquette from biomass generate less ash, nitrogen, and sulfur, and lower emissions of combustion pollutants, which significantly reduces CO2 emissions. Table 2 shows that the CO2 emissions throughout the charcoal briquette application ranging from 1.4 until 2.7%. This CO2 emission is lower than CO2 emission by the coal. And also table 3 shows the carbon monoxide or CO emissions throughout the charcoal briquette in applications. Generally, charcoal briquette is fabricated by furnishing or carbonizing the organic stocks such as woods, coconut shells, cellulose, and bagasse. The comparison of some charcoal briquettes derived from different feedstocks are listed in Table 4. Based on Table 4, it can be seen that coconut shell has the prominent characteristic as briquette raw material. Coconut shell has higher HHV and carbon content and lower LHV and moisture content, suggesting the coconut shell is a good choice for briquetting. Charcoal briquettes have been shown as a prominent alternative fuel. However, almost all briquettes have low mechanical strength in nature and cause problems in packing and distribution. Consequently, the binding agent were added to the briquette to improve its mechanical properties. It has been developed interest in the study of briquette synthesis and modifications. Briquette binding agent play an important part in the briquette synthesis, thermal value and stability, mechanical strength, combustion behavior, and the product cost significantly depend on the binding agent quality. Okay. There are several types of mechanism in binding agent. First is no binding agent mechanism with three proposed hypotheses. First is asphaltene and humic acid natural binding mechanism. Second is adhesion molecule mechanism. And the third is colloid behavior and capillary mechanism. And the second one is cold press binding mechanism, consists of three types of hypotheses. First is bridging in soaking mechanism. Second is chemical and mechanical bonding mechanism. And the third is maximum wettability binding mechanism. Generally, the ideal properties of binding agent for briquette preparation are first to produce strong bond. Second, doesn't alter the briquette heating value. The third is to environmentally friendly. The fourth is pollutant free. And the fifth is economically acceptable. According to the chemistry of the material, binding agent can be grouped into three kinds, including inorganic, organic, and compound binding agents. Inorganic binding agent. The inorganic binding agent have some powerful characteristics, including strong adhesive, low toxicity, cost effectiveness, and provide good wettability. Plaster, sodium silicate, clay, calcium carbonate, or lime and cement are common variations of inorganic binding agent in briquette preparation. Moreover, this type of binding agent can be further divided into three groups, which are industrial briquette binding agent, common purpose briquette binding agent, and environmentally friendly briquette binding agent, which are shown in table 6 and table 8. Organic binding agent. Many studies have been reported that the organic binding agent have good binding ability high compressive strength, and high drop strength. Nevertheless, some drawbacks have been also found, including thermally unstable in high temperature, easy to decompose, and the reduction of mechanical strength in higher temperature. In general, organic binding agent can be derived into 4 kinds, such as biomass-based binding agent, tar pitch binding agent, lignosulfonate binding agent, and polymer-based binding agent. The classification and property overviews of organic binding agent are summarized in table 9. And the last is compound binding agent. As discussed previously, the organic binding agent showed excellent thermal stability, but generated more ash content and lowering the combustion efficiency, while the reported briquette prepared with organic binding agent showed milder operating condition, high cold strength, and environmentally acceptable, but lacked in thermal stability. Therefore, idea of combination of binding agent to produce a new and excellent performance of binding agents for briquette preparation has been gained so much scientific attention by combining the organic and organic binding agent to be the compound binding agent, which several reported study has been summarized in table 10. Okay, the conclusion: modification of charcoal briquette is essential to achieve better performance of charcoal briquette, including mechanical strength, heating value, thermal property, pollution, and cost of production. Therefore, binding agent has become the key modification in briquette preparation. Different binding agents perform different binding mechanisms, which are no binding agent mechanism and cold press binding agent mechanism to hold the particle together in the briquette body. It can be grouped into 3 classifications: inorganic, organic, and compound binding agent. The organic binding agent have powerful characteristics, including strong adhesive force, low toxicity, cost effectiveness, and good wettability. However, this binding agent reported generating more ash content that lowering the heating value. The organic binding agent have reported resulting good binding ability, high compressive strength, and high drop strength. Nevertheless, some drawbacks have been found, including thermally unstable, easy to decompose, and mechanical strength reduction at high temperature. Therefore, by considering the pros and cons of inorganic and organic binding agent, compound binding agent have increased the research trend of binding agent in briquette modification. Okay, this publication is an output of Kedai Reka project entitled Pengembangan Integrated Farming System untuk menunjang energi dan pertanian berkelanjutan, which is financially supported by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia. This brings me to the end of my presentation. Suggestions, recommendations, and questions for this article are so welcome for constructing the better publication. Thank you very much for your kindly attention. I give back to Prof. Suherman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fabio Dalenta. I think very interesting, about review how to improve the quality product of charcoal briquette, because Indonesia, has many big potential, Okay, any question from anybody? Okay, yeah.
I will ask you some question, Mr. Fabio.
Okay.
Based on your review, how is the progress of charcoal briquettes to be utilized as an alternative energy? And second question, how can the binding agent affect the properties outside of the mechanical strength? And its ultimate goal is to bond the briquette particles together. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Inggar, for the questions. Okay. The first question: how the trend of briquette application? Okay. Actually, in my presentation, I have explained it in table 1. The trend of briquette industry, that industrial field has used the briquette for its alternative fuel, such as in firing ceramics, poultry rearing, clay brick production, manufacture of poultry, and so many others. And this trend is gradually increased over the decades. So we can estimate that in the future, these briquettes give some interest to research or to develop for a business. I think that's the future trend of these briquettes. And the second question, how does the binding agent affect the other characteristic except the mechanical strength? Okay, actually the ultimate goal for binding agent is to increase the mechanical strength. Okay, but sometimes the substance, the chemical of the binding agent alter some other characteristics, such as if we add clay to the briquette, it will give increasing in ash content. The ash content will lowering the efficiency of thermal, because with increasing ash content, the thermal efficiency will be decreased, like that. And the other properties is such as wettability. If we add the polymer like hydrophobic polymer to the briquette, it will give the hydrophobic or the water repellency ability. But if we add like sodium silicate, it will give the hydrophilic property. So it will give any other, and it makes this briquette research is much more interesting, because we add some other material, it will change several material, not only mechanical strength, but so many other characteristics will be changed if we add this binding agent. Okay, I think that's my answer.
Okay, I think it's enough. Yeah, thanks for the Mr. Fabio for your answer, and also for the question from the Miss Ingar Dianrati. Yeah. Okay, I think enough. We can give applause for the Mr. Fabio Dalenta. Yeah. Okay, everybody and everyone. I think for this para session, I think we can close. And before close, firstly, again, I would like to thank for all the participation. And I think in this para session also many young researchers, and I hope will be success, because we know in the world now we have a big problem. The first about COVID-19 and the second is climate change. I think your research is very, potential to continue, yeah, for get new innovation, yeah, for not for only for not for our country, also for the world. Okay, thank you. And also I beg pardon if any faults that I have to do. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We can close this para session, and also I hope all of you join the closing ceremony. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Prof. Herman.
Oke, makasih Pak Fajar,
Thank you.
Gembira,
Thank you.
semuanya
Pamit ya.
sukses. Ya, monggo. Saya pamit ya.